Hello and welcome back. I just noticed how when I first started recording the video that I did it again. I have a habit of taking a deep breath in and exhaling right before I start talking. It's funny how we have these little rituals that we go about that give us a certain power, a certain state of mind to adopt, and it's something to be aware of as well. So when you, like for example, you might have seen certain athletes just before they do a certain move or before they come onto the field, they'll do a certain kind of a ritual, and it gets you into a certain mindset. And we forget often that that is available to us always. We can always change our mindset in that same way, but there seems to be something missing. So for example, the importance of this game, the amount of practice that you did before going onto the field, the talk, the motivational talk, your team and your coach had before back in the changing rooms or whatever. All of these variables and others that I didn't mention here cumulate into this moment where you are able to take this energy and to manifest a certain way for you to be in order to achieve something at a very high, which to you feel is high. And the point I'm trying to make, I guess, is that it's basically magic that they're doing. It's like casting a spell. And a lot of, when I say magic, I don't mean, casting fire and all those sort of things. I can only speak from the experience that I have with trying it and using it, experimenting, I should say. And from what I've read and taking what I read and then practicing it and getting an understanding from the aspect that and a lot of books that I've read say that magic is nothing out of the ordinary. It's actually very ordinary. And that person, before he goes onto the field, does this ritual which gets him into a certain mindset so that he can perform a certain task. This habit that he created is almost an art that we don't realize we can do at any time. And what gives us the power, is how important we think it is. How good can we believe ourselves? How much belief, so much belief that you're not even thinking about believing. You're just, very, very focused. There's this to achieve. The mind has a goal. So once it has a goal, then it attaches a certain level of importance to it. And the higher the importance, the more you can do, I guess, magically, really. When you think of it this way, when you're thinking about magic, and I'll get into where habit ties into it a little bit more. When you get into magic and I'm losing my train of thought. Yeah, when you get into magic, it's very much like listening to music, and the spell itself is what you hear in the form of the music, and the higher the volume is how much energy you were able to put into that song. So the more energy you put into it by how much you believe it's important will directly determine the power of your magic. how much energy it has, how much it can do. So doing these little rituals, you could just imagine how exhausting it might be. You might, at least I think of that to a certain aspect of me thinks that way, that it would be exhausting all day to always be doing ritual after ritual and always psyching yourself up, if you will, if you want to think of it that way. That's one way to kind of think of generating energy. So the reason habit is important is that if you develop a way of being in a way that you're using a lot of these habits subconsciously, you've developed them into habits, then you get, life just changes completely. You know, not necessarily, it changes your inner world, but right now I'm speaking externally, is that you see little things all around you going your way. Things are just going your way. A certain state of mind to be in the habit of being in makes everything around you just settle. And if it's real or not, I can't say, but what I can say is that it seems very strongly to be that whenever you have a certain state of mind like that, that it is true. Everything around you just seems to go well. You may wake up in a bad mood, but the habits you have of creating a certain, relaxed, feeling at home inside yourself, feeling changes your perspective. And I believe, I can't say I believe, but it really looks like in the external world you see the signs. So whether or not you're not seeing a sign, whether or not you are seeing a sign is not the importance. It's whether there's something out there that's trying to give you something, whether anything is coming from the outside or anything is coming from the inside is not the point. It's that it makes a difference if you wake up in a bad day, for example. That's one thing for me that's been a godsend, is to develop certain habits like that. Because I found that you can manipulate the world around you. You can do it on an intellectual level where you're telling people, you're making sure everyone understands your intention, and you're very clear in or aggressive, dominating all of the positive and negatives. So you can do it that way. You can get what you want using your brain, your mind. But that's usually equal to cutting open the chicken to get the egg. It's a certain way about, you still get your result, but you could just wait, and that egg or that chicken will probably lay, I don't know what it is, 2 eggs a day, or so many eggs a day, or a week, whatever. You could just be patient and wait. So there's a certain way to, a certain vibe to carry about you that makes the world seem so much easier. And it's one of those things where I just want to say in this video to really appreciate, and you don't even need to appreciate, but let's just say, I'm just going to say, appreciate the little things and then let it go. But seriously, the little things, it makes a huge difference in your life, because if everything around you is going bad and you might not understand, you might not realize that you're doing habits, the way you think, the way you move around people, the way other people are reading your expression, what type of body language, what's your tone like? Because your tone affects your atmosphere, your inner and outer atmosphere. So. Wherever you are around the world, whatever time it is that you're watching this video, thank you, thank you, thank you, Peace.